I want to share a little bit about what I've been up to lately, but also tell you how this could be something that might help you get a job and how and why it can do that. Welcome to English Coach 3Ts. I'm Tanya, and today I'm speaking off the cuff. When we speak off the cuff, this is an idiom that means we speak without a plan or without notes. And what is a cuff? So the cuff is the part of your shirt here. This is the cuff of your shirt. The actual cuff is often, about this big, and it's sewn on, and it often has buttons here. Mine today does not. The cuff is a part of a shirt similar to the way a collar is a part of the shirt, because I want to tell you how I have been volunteering my time in my community lately, and a little bit about my story, plus a little bit about how this can help your career. So let's start with how it might help you to get a job and how it could help you to improve your English. I can't tell you how many times I have heard people say that even though they live in an English-speaking country, it's difficult to practice their English because they don't have anyone to talk to. So getting a volunteer position can get you out in the community and give you the chance to practice your English. And it can also go on your resume. This is something that looks good on your resume, especially if you have a time period where there's a gap in your resume. A gap being a period of time where you didn't have other work outside the home. But also, volunteering is something that shows that you're industrious. Industrious meaning that you are the kind of person who is self-motivated, you like to get things done, you like to work hard. These are good things to have on your resume, but saying this is not nearly as powerful or impactful as showing it. When you list volunteer work on your resume, you show a lot of good things about yourself without having to say those actual words. I want to tell you more about that, but I want to tell you a little bit about my own experience. So recently, I have been volunteering with a community organization that gives grants or money to nonprofit organizations. A nonprofit organization is like a business. It is a business that is not working for profit. So in other words, they may pay their employees, they may have volunteers that work for them, but they're not working towards earning enough money so that they have a lot of extra money. Instead, they're working to do something that makes a difference in the community. This is something that's important to me, so I enjoy volunteering for nonprofits. I want to share a little bit about why I do this and more about how it can benefit your career. So in the past, I've done other types of community work that have nothing to do with my career. Volunteering can help you in your career, even if it is not related to your career. If it is, then that's an extra bonus. But for me, I have volunteered in things like creating music programs for the elderly in senior living centers. Senior living centers are a place where people who are elderly, probably in their 70s or 80s, can go to live. And I helped create a program for this. Also, I have helped to package food or put food in packages to be sent to third world countries where there's not enough food and people might even be starving. Starving being beyond hunger. You're not just hungry, but you are so hungry that it is causing damage to your body or even death. And I have done other types of volunteer work. Currently, in the volunteer organization I'm working with, I get to go out and look at companies that are applying for the grants to this organization. And in this work, but also in other types of volunteer work I've done, I've always had a lot of benefit. Things like making new friends, learning new things, and probably the best is self-growth. I'm curious if you already volunteer your time. Maybe you haven't thought about it. I'm also curious if it's something common in your country. Let me know in the comments below. If you learned something new, be sure to give us a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe and share this video with someone you know who's learning English. So I want to share just a couple of pictures from something I did this week to look at an equestrian program. Equestrian meaning it has to do with horses, and this particular program uses horses to help veterans who have PTSD. PTSD stands for post-traumatic stress disorder. So people who have worked for the military and have had traumatic experiences can come work with these horses, and they find that it helps a lot with a lot of different things. I personally don't work with the horses. What I do is, in this case, coming out to this nonprofit, which also could be called a 501c, that's a tax term, to see if this is the kind of nonprofit that we could give a grant to. So I'm learning so much. It's really amazing for me. So I wanted to tell a real story about how this might work in your career. I mentioned that I used to work in a classroom, and this particular classroom that I'm thinking about was actually a nonprofit organization that I did some consulting for, meaning that I was not hired by them. I was not an employee on their payroll, the people that they are going to pay, but rather I was a contractor. I came and worked and did a service for them. I sent them an invoice, and then they paid me. I was a contractor for them. I worked with groups of women in classrooms, maybe 20 to 30 women at a time, teaching things like resume and interviewing and basic life skills. And what we found over and over is that the women who put this volunteer work on their resume were able to find jobs more quickly. But I also saw women who went and volunteered with organizations that might have some connection to the type of work they were looking for get jobs just from volunteering. This is interesting because at the place I took a look at last week in my volunteer work, the person who was giving the presentation said that one woman came and volunteered her time so much they had to hire her. If you're interested in taking classes with me live on Zoom, be sure to click on the link below to see information on our website for individual lessons and our women's speaking program. All of the information is there, but if you have questions, I'd love to chat with you to see if these classes are a good fit for you. You can also find my email address below. Now that you've learned some new words and phrases, check out this video to learn how you can remember them and use them in your conversations. I'll see you there.